Hi, welcome back to my video series, Do You Want to Heal Fast or Slow? I'm Dr. Miner. Today we're going to talk about breathing versus the stress response. Hopefully by the time we're done with this video today, you'll understand why breathing is such an actually hugely important part of, well, I guess it's something that you can do actively to stimulate your own healing. And it's a very simple thing to do. Everybody can do it. But so there's basically two things we're going to look at. One is the physical ways of different ways to breathe and what that does to your muscles and your joints. And the other is we're going to talk about what it does to your nervous system. And then we're going to talk about why zebras don't get ulcers, because that's going to tie into this whole thing too. So first off, I want to talk about breathing, how there's two ways to breathe. I'll tell you, I went to a seminar back, I think it was 1991, on how doctors can educate their patients to do things to be healthy and get better faster, kind of like what I'm doing right now. But one of the things they talked about was how deep breathing affected us. And so there's about 25 doctors in this class, and the teacher was trying to teach us how to breathe properly and to get us to breathe into our abdomen and not up using our neck muscles. And I couldn't do it. She had to come over and put her hand on my back and on my belly and push and get me to get the right motion of breathing. I couldn't do it. I finally got it, but I wasn't the only one. There's only 2 people in that class out of 25 doctors that knew how to do it. And one of them was a yoga instructor, and the other one had taken this course before and had learned how to do it. So I felt not so bad, and hopefully you won't feel so bad either if you can't do it. When I worked in the Live Well program here in our town as a pain clinic, we would work one-on-one with people who had chronic pain, like really bad pain. And there's one woman, it took, I think, 6 weeks, once a week, to get her to finally get the motion of breathing. And then she goes, oh, that's all it is? It was so simple to her, but it took her, she just couldn't conceptualize how to do it. She couldn't get her body to do it. Anyway, let's talk about this. Breathing up, when I pulled my rib cage up off of my diaphragm, so you have a diaphragm down here, that's the bottom of your thoracic cavity where your lungs are and your heart. And to pull the rib cage off the diaphragm opens up everything and creates a negative pressure in your lungs and air goes in. The other way to breathe is to pull your diaphragm down, and that sucks air in by creating a negative pressure that way too. The difference is your diaphragm is made for that. Well, so is your neck muscles, but they're accessory, secondary muscles for breathing, not primary. The diaphragm is the primary breathing muscle, and it's very important to get that to work. The diaphragm attaches to the lumbar spine down to about L2 and L3. So if it's really stiff, it'll tighten up your lumbar spine. And then if you're using your neck muscles up here to breathe, you're gonna use these neck muscles to pull up on the ribs, and it'll pull the whole thing up. Now, if you have a neck injury and you're using those muscles all the time to breathe, guess what? You're gonna tighten up those muscles. They're not gonna be able to relax. They're not going to be able to get any rest. And so that's gonna cause your healing to slow way down, especially if you have a neck or shoulder or upper back injury. Same thing with the low back. If that diaphragm is really tight because it's not being used properly, then it's going to pull on the lumbar spine and not let it move freely like it should. So then you're going to have dysfunction in your lumbar spine, the very low back part there, and it will actually create more pain. Your pelvis won't move right. It'll even mess up your hips. And so we're so, like I said, we're more well connected than the mafia. We're really connected in there. So having your diaphragm work right and using these muscles properly, not for breathing, is going to allow you to heal faster. So using the neck muscles tightens up the neck and the low back muscles, and using the diaphragm relaxes everything. I mean, would you rather have a thick, hard, stiff rope holding your diaphragm to your lumbar spine, or a bungee cord that allows it to move when you need to move? Because we need to move. We have to move. If we don't move, we don't work right. So that's the physiological part of it. I mean, you can actually relax the muscles by doing these deep breathing exercises. And once you start doing it, it becomes more natural, and you do it unconsciously. And that helps you too because you're not using those muscles so much. Now we're talking about the autonomic nervous system, which basically has two parts. I mean, there's more than that, but these are the two basic parts. And they act kind of like a teeter-totter. When one is up, the other one's going to be down. When one's up, it inhibits the other one. And when the other one is up, it inhibits the other one. So you can see there's the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. Now, this is your fight or flight nervous system over here. This is what kicks in when stress hits you. You get your fight or flight or freeze. And what it does is it raises your blood sugar to get more energy so you can run or fight. It raises your blood pressure so you get blood everywhere you need it to go so you can run or fight. And it increases your stress hormones, of course, because that's going to keep that process going so you can run or fight for a long time. Now, on the other side of this, you've got your parasympathetic, which is, we call it rest and digest. It's a more, if you think of it this way, when you need to run or fight, you need your legs and arms and everything to be strong. So all the blood goes to those muscles so you can really get going there. And it releases sugar out of your muscles that are stored there to give energy for everything to move and so you can really go. Now, the parasympathetic is everything in your torso here. Your lungs, your heart, all your digestive system, your liver, your spleen, your gallbladder, kidneys, everything in there is parasympathetic. And so it's rest, digest, heal, repair, detoxify, elimination, reproduction. And so it turns out that when you take a deep breath, which is a parasympathetic function because it's in the torso here, it activates all this side of it. So this comes to life here. Blood gets pulled back into here and everything inside gets activated more. It never shuts off completely, but it'll be more active. And the same thing with this. Now, when you take a deep breath, it actually inhibits your fight or flight. It inhibits the sympathetic nervous system. So why is that important? If you're stressed all the time, if you're bugged about stuff all the time, you are going to inhibit your resting, digesting, heal, repair, and all these things. And you're going to activate all of these. And it just keeps that thing going so you don't heal fast. This is what we're talking about, how to heal fast. So doing deep breathing exercises way down into your abdomen activates that. It shuts off your fight or flight. That's why people always say, hey, stop, take a deep breath, relax, because it actually does that. That's why they say that, because it really works. So, hey, relax, take a deep breath. In fact, try it right now, just with me. Take a deep breath into your belly, and you act like there's a balloon in there you're trying to fill up. That makes this go out. One more time. Now, you notice that as I get to the very end of it, maybe the last 10 or 15% of a deep breath, my shoulders do go up just because it's filling with air. That's a natural thing. The air is actually lifting it up, not the muscles. And if the muscles are, it's just a small contraction. It's not really tightening in there, so your neck gets all jammed up in there. So it's really important. This deep breathing thing is like maybe if you stop to put ice on you or to put heat on you or something, stop and take some deep breaths. I recommend, especially people that are working hard, sitting at a desk or something, to stop every 30 minutes to 60 minutes and take 3 or 4 deep breaths in. It resets things. It balances out your stress hormones. It drops that adrenaline and the cortisol. It balances your blood sugar. It's really a healing thing to do. It's more important than we could ever imagine, I think. So years ago, a guy named Robert Sapolsky, he's a neuroendocrinologist, whatever he is, psychoimmunoendocrinology guy down in Stanford University, wrote a book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. Now, Sapolsky he'd teach during the wintertime, and in the summer he'd go to South Africa and watch the zebras and the different animals and how they responded to life down there. And he saw this where there was, zebras just relax out there, right? They're eating grass, and there's lions over here, maybe 100 yards away, 50 yards away even, not very far, and they're eating, some other animal they ate, a water buffalo or something, and they'll eat that for a day or so, and then all the meat's gone, and they're fine. Lions like to sleep a lot, so they were sleeping, and then they wake up and there's no more meat on the bones, and so they're looking for something to eat, and they look over there, hey, zebras. And so the zebras are just fine until the lions start hunting. When they do that thing, they shake their little rear end and they get going, how cats do, you know. Well, once they start that, those zebras got to take off. Now, their sympathetic system kicks in. Until then, they've been resting and digesting and healing and detoxing and ovulating and everything they need to do. But now, this shuts down, and they got to fight or flee. They got to run. They're not going to fight the lion, so they're going to run. Now, they can digest stuff later. They can shut that down. They can digest later, if there is a later. They can detoxify later. They can eliminate later. They can ovulate later if they need to, if there is a later. There may not be a later, so let's run. Let's get out of there. And so they do. Now, all they got to do is outrun their poor cousin Jerry with the bad hoof. He sprained his hoof the other day, and so the lions will get him and eat him real quick, and the other zebras will run another 100 or 200 yards away because the lions aren't chasing them anymore, and they go back to eating again. Now, it takes about 60 to 90 minutes for the adrenaline to get out of your system till it can, till it's gone, so you can relax. But they're still going to relax and start eating over there, and their things will start to return to normal there, and they don't get ulcers. Now, what happens to us is, as Sapolsky says, he says, we're sitting at our desk balancing our checkbook, and our body's reacting as if we're being chased by lions. You get that same stress response. And so breathing by itself, breathing can reduce this stress response. So it's really critical. I always tell my patients, I can't give you a new house, I can't give you more money, I can't give you better relationships, I can't give you a better job, but I can teach you how to deal with the stress that comes with it, the body's response. And so it makes a big difference here. You can do this, and then just deep breathing helps you heal faster. That's the bottom line here. All right, so take a deep breath, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye now.